So, hi everyone. Welcome to my live feed. I beg you, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Somebody saying I should calm down about brother Pastor Chris. I should confirm it first. Confirm what? That he didn't say it. I listened to it. I played it on my page. It's on Linda AKG's blog. Unless somebody audio synced his mouth to those words, if he actually said those words, then I am disappointed. Personally, I am disappointed. He said the federal government, according to what I heard, the federal government shut down Lagos and Abuja because they wanted to install 5G. Like, really? The federal government wants to install something, they need your permission? Guys, come on! Countries that are stalling on the 5G rollout are doing so because of security reasons more than anything else. More than anything else, it has to do with security reasons. Google them. Google is your friend. Linking 5G with coronavirus is the height of it. I won't say 5G doesn't have its own health drawbacks. No. But we live in a country that is filled. They say 5G affects your immune system. The generator fumes that you are inhaling does not affect your immune system more than 5G. Let's speak facts. Someone was telling me, okay, why are people not dying in Nigeria the way they are dying in the US and in the Europe? Because we don't have the counting system they do. Their numbers are more accurate than ours. Let me ask you a question. Do you know in the US they can account for everybody crossing in and out of their borders in a day? Plus or minus a few things. Someone says, I shut up, let me just block him so he can go and have a conversation with his dad at home. Maybe block. Let me tell you, a lot of people are not happy that it was China that developed. That's a theory. Maybe if it was somebody else. But come on, guys. Come on. We can do better than this. By the way, I'm starting my show live on Nigeria Info. Today, I'll be on for an hour, 10 to 11. You can catch me on YouTube Live and all the mediums too. I'll be there. Okay? So please follow me up on that. In the meantime, what's very important, we need to talk about it. Iran has no 5G, but a lot of coronavirus. How'd you add that up? How'd you add that up? Now, you see, my problem is if the government could go to Funke Akindele's house and pick her up and have her taken to the police station and have her appear in court this morning, in my opinion, why isn't Pastor Chris being questioned? How can you make a claim like that about a sitting government? Is the government afraid to pick him up? Let us know. I'm not saying pick him up and lock him up. I'm saying pick him up and ask him questions because he's speaking out of authority. He said in that video, unless that video was doctored, if he really said those things in that video, if you saw that video, it's currently on my Instagram page. If you saw that video and he actually said those things, I am wondering why the government is not having a conversation with him right now. Why isn't the government discussing with Pastor Chris right now? Like, hey, Pastor Chris, you said this, you claimed this. Can you please show us what informs or informed your claims? He said, from the video I watched, that it wasn't coronavirus killing people in Wuhan, China, it was 5G. Like, seriously? I'm not seeing anybody's post concerning 5G. It's all conspiracy. Would I say 5G is 100% safe? No, neither is your microwave, neither is the cell phone you're watching me on, neither is the sun. Have you bothered to Google diesel fuels? Just Google diesel fumes and Google immunity. I'm doing it now. Google diesel fumes, immune system. There's an article on the eveningexpress.co.uk that says brake dust is as bad as diesel exhaust fumes for immune system. There's another article, health effects of diesel exhaust emissions. There's an article on a trusted website called www.sciencenews.org. It says diesel fumes suppress the immune system. We live in Nigeria, the world diesel fume capital. There's a generator in every estate, sometimes in every house. We have trailers that burn diesel, buses that burn diesel. All the fumes are going into the air. We're not shutting down our diesel plants. We're not legislating against diesel that we know is an immune system suppressant, and we know your immune system is needed to fight COVID-19. We're not legislating against diesel that is a known problem and we have. Instead, we're fighting against 5G that we don't have. Is it the 3G that they are marketing to us as 4G that we have that is worrying us? Google this, read this up. It's not, no. Yes. I hope not. Do you understand? The next thing is they say it's Antichrist. As in, can you guys really beat that? It's Antichrist. Well, I didn't say Pastor Chris said this part, but he said people died in Wuhan because of 5G, not because of coronavirus. And he said the federal government locked down Lagos and Abuja because they wanted to install 5G. And I'm worrying. I just want to ask, sir, is business bad or has business gone bad? I want to read to you some things. I taught them yesterday, but for those of you who missed my class, I want to talk about confirmation bias. It's very important that we deal with confirmation bias. Because every single person who I've had this conversation, no. I had a conversation with a friend of mine earlier on today. And I sent her an article from a trusted science website. My friend read the article. It was about plans to delay 5G in one country. And she jumped all the facts in the article over security reasons, security breaches, everything, and landed on a comment. It's like reading a post on Linda Ikeji's blog, ignoring everything in the post, and then reading one comment. And that comment is now giving you, because some guy just went there, anybody can go. All I need to do is register with that website, and I can go and copy something from Google and put it on that website. Most websites even tell you comments are not the opinions of the website or the blog or the owner of the blog or their staff. They're simply from the public. So I can go right now, but you see, because that resonated with her, she followed that instead of following the fact. You see, the guy who wrote the article is a staff of the blog. He can be picked up. He can be verified. But the guy who wrote the comment could be a girl. Oh, goodness, why is anybody calling me now? Could be a guy who put a girl's name, put some bogus qualifications, and then they're trusting him because he's saying what you want to hear. Sorry, guys, 1 second. Yes, please, who's this? Is who? I'll talk to you later, bro. I'm live. I'll talk to you later. Sorry, guys. If I didn't pick that call, he would continue bugging me. So guys need to understand and respect when someone is live. Check their updates. So, let's talk very briefly about confirmation bias, which is the tendency to search for. You go and search for. Interpret. When you find, you interpret it. You favor and recall from your memory information in a way that confirms or strengthens your prior personal beliefs or hypotheses. Geraldine, come back and do that, please. That broom is entering. Come back in 10 minutes. Now, people display this bias when they gather or remember information selectively or when they interpret it in a biased way. The effect is stronger for desired outcomes, for emotionally charged issues. I'll give you an example. Jeff Bezos pays his wife $30 or $40 billion. It's not an issue. Adele pays her husband $140 million. It becomes an issue. Forgetting that the US does not just give randomly, they give to the poorer. Whoever is richer pays the poorer in most cases. But because it's an emotionally charged issue, Adele was trending yesterday night. Now, the confirmation bias effect is stronger for deeply entrenched beliefs. Now, how do these deeply entrenched belief systems work? You trust your pastor. He has earned the trust of your parents. You inherited this trust from your parents. So whatever you say or whatever he says, whether you like it or not, is the truth. Without you actually taking your time out to verify what they're saying. The Berean Christians in the scriptures were more noble than those in Thessalonica because they listened to Paul and Silas and every day they checked the scriptures for verification. You accept what your pastors say as authority instead of verifying what they say to form your own authority. So your pastor speaks, he becomes an authority. Now, still on confirmation bias, People also tend to interpret ambiguous evidence as supporting their existing position. The only evidence the 5G conspirators or conspiracy theorists or theorists, I beg your pardon, have is the countries that were rolling out 5G are the countries where coronavirus is more prevalent. What about Iran? Iran does not have 5G and wasn't rolling out 5G. They overlook big portions, big chunks of evidence, and hold on to little things that confirm their inherent beliefs. Now, I want to talk about some things I talked about yesterday for those who missed it. People tend to interpret ambiguous evidence as supporting their existing positions. Biased search, interpretation, and memory have been invoked to explain what you call attitude polarization. Now, what is attitude polarization? Let's talk about this. It's a phenomenon in which a disagreement becomes more extreme as the different parties consider evidence on the issue. It is one of the effects of confirmation bias and the tendency of people to search for and interpret evidence selectively. When people encounter ambiguous evidence, this bias can potentially result in each of them interpreting it as supporting their existing attitudes. You see something that is ambiguous, it's not clear, it's all over the place, it's shady. But because it supports you, all of a sudden you put it on the front burner. Now, I want to talk about something else now. I want to talk about belief perseverance. When beliefs persist after evidence is shown and proven that they're false. I'll give you an example. Tithing works. Daddy Freeze has come forward. He has shown you that there's no tithing for Christians in the scriptures. Christ didn't tithe or receive tithe as a Christian. And in the book of Hebrews, when he was introduced to us as our new chief priest by the Apostle Paul in his priesthood, in the priesthood of Christ, clearly seen in the books of Hebrews chapter 7 through 11, never for once mentioned that Christ collected tithe, and neither did Paul or any of the apostles. Tithing was actually not part of the early church until after Islam began. Tithing was introduced into the early church in the year 585 AD. Yet, with all this evidence, with the fact that no billionaire on the top 10 of Forbes tithes, the fact that the richest man in Africa does not pay tithe to any church, out of the 4 billionaires in Nigeria that we know, only one's a possible tither. And yet, the beliefs persevere. People still hold on to the tithing doctrine and they link it to success, despite glaring evidence that it doesn't work except for your pastors. Tithing works, yes, for those who collect it, not those who give. That is why we have the poorest people on earth in this country and we have the richest pastors. Now, let me round it off with something else. You see, belief perseverance is when beliefs persist after evidence has been shown. The irrational primacy effect, a great reliance on information encountered earlier on, and what you call illusory correlation, come into play. An illusory correlation is when people falsely perceive an association between two events or situations, like linking tithing to success. They're not in the same equation. Bill Gates doesn't tithe. Jeff Bezos doesn't tithe. Warren Buffett doesn't tithe. What's the Facebook guy again? Zuckerberg doesn't tithe. Aliko Dangote doesn't tithe. So who brought the equation forward that linked two mutually exclusive things, but yet in your mind you link them despite glaring evidence? So what you have is a phenomenon called illusory correlation. And this is a very important phenomenon in psychology. And it is the perceiving a relationship between variables, typically people, events, or behaviors, even when no such relationship exists. A false association is formed because of rare or novel occurrences that are more salient and therefore tend to capture one's attention. For instance, tithing and success. There is no evidence that links them. But tithing, religion, and poverty can be linked, because the more religious a country is, the more likely they are to tithe, and the more prone they are to poverty. Google all the charts. They're available for you. Now, why is this illusory correlation working with 5G? Because they're linking it to coronavirus. You're saying 5G weakens the immune system. I'm asking, what about diesel fumes? What about brake dust? What about pollution? What about noise? What else do we have in Nigeria? What about lack of proper nutrition? Now, these are logical. 5G has issues. I will not sit here and tell you, no, 5G is 100% safe, is a gift of God to mankind. 5G is so beautiful. You could park your car inside 5G. 5G will build you a house. I'm not going to sit here and tell you all that. But I am also not going to tell you that 5G is the cause of coronavirus or why coronavirus is spreading. There is no link. There's only an illusory correlation. And it's spawning too many conspiracy theories. Somebody saying, because we don't have 5G in Nigeria, that is why we don't have coronavirus. You know why you don't have coronavirus? Because you don't know. You don't know. We don't have good records. Can we compare our records to the US, to the records of the US? Secondly, travel exposure. There's only one BA flight a day to Lagos, servicing 20 million people in Lagos, one BA flight and one Virgin flight a day to Lagos. Do you know how many BA flights there are to New York City? I'm not talking about New York, New York City alone. Not to talk of New York, not to talk of the USA. We don't have coronavirus because we don't have testing equipment. I can agree to that argument, but I cannot agree to the fact that we don't have coronavirus because we don't have 5G. Guys, your parents invested in your education. Be thinking people. Listen, conspiracy theory is a box on its own. There are many boxes. Religion is a box. Conspiracy theory is a box. And woe unto those who are in both boxes. The most dangerous people are the religious conspiracy theorists. That is a kind of people I will not want to be associated with, because religion breeds paranoia, it breeds fear. As a matter of fact, fear is what is used to propagate religion. Why do you think that Geo said the other day that if you don't pay tithe, you will not make heaven? Fear. You're afraid of not making heaven, so you tithe. Now, conspiracy theories also create paranoia and fear. So when you merge the two, you have a hybrid, a particularly dangerous scenario where your fears and your paranoia are fueled by two very dangerous phenomenon: conspiracy theories and religion. Now, religion, you see, science works against confirmation bias. Meanwhile, in religion, confirmation bias is good. Illusory correlation makes sense to religion. It makes sense for you to combine success and tithing, even though in the reality of life, there is nowhere where tithing has been linked to success. So when you have religion that breeds illusory correlation, and you have conspiracy theories that look for the slightest possible evidence, make a mountain out of a little molehill of evidence, and then you now join it with religion, you are looking for major trouble, sir. We don't know how many people really have the virus in Nigeria. And I'm worried. I watched a documentary. What's that Indian guy? Was it Al Jazeera? Or is it, I think it's Al Jazeera, where he said, look, he's afraid of what's going to happen in Africa because he feels that it will. Nigerians don't listen. They're out on the roads. I don't know what these pastors want, but is it because their churches are closed and they're not allowed to have service that they're upset? And now they're not trying to create whatever happens so churches could be full? If Funke Akindele was picked up for questioning for having a house party, inside the house party were max 40 people. The average big cathedral in Lagos sits 2,000 people. And somebody is saying these things. Don't you think as a country that person should be invited for tea? No arrest, nothing serious, but just a cup of tea and a biscuit. Now, sir, tell us how you think, or what informs your knowledge that the federal government wants to install 5G, like it's the federal government that is installing telecommunications. It's not Glow anymore. It's not MTN anymore. It's not Etisalat or Airtel anymore. It's now the federal government. I'm not sure if the federal government owns any telecommunications company except for Nitel, and I don't know where that one is. So please, let illusory correlation stop being the bane of your existence. Discard information. Discard the information that has no logical backup. Somebody is saying China wants to use it and they're installing it in the US. You think the US will allow China to install some, or the US will do something that they know is potentially harmful for them, especially when it's coming from China? Guys, think. Who did this to you? And if you don't obey the lockdown, if you don't obey the sit-down rule, if you don't obey the government, you will end up with a nation ravaged by this virus. And we will all be worse off for it. So I beg you, wash your hands, use sanitizer. Sit at home, dear people. Sit at home. Work from home. Church is not more important than your life. Because there's nothing you're gaining there that you cannot gain in your house. So I'm ending on that note. As far as I'm concerned, there's no correlation between 5G and the deaths in Wuhan. If they were exposed to radiation, it was radiation from something else, not 5G. Now, I also want to ask you a question. The government that is introducing the 5G, are their children going to be living on the moon? Are their wives also going to be living on the moon? Are their parents also going to be living on the moon? So it's only the population that is affected by the 5G radiation. Their own families will not. Now, coronavirus, from research, attacks mainly the vulnerable adults. It rarely attacks children. If radiation, now people who live, even children who live where they have high tension wires, everyone there has the same opportunity to be exposed to cancer. So how come the radiation is not affecting children, is only affecting the elderly? Guys, come on. At this juncture, I tell you, thank you so much. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Daddy Freeze Teaches. And I'll be back again 10 o'clock Nigerian time, where I'll be launching my first ever show on Nigeria Info. And we'll still be talking about this same topic, and we'll be taking phone calls from the population. Of course, they're going to be very annoying people who are going to call and are going to try to sound intelligent, but we're going to be prepared for them. Am I in support of 5G? Why not? I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be. I remember the Millennium Bug and how much noise they made about all computers failing or dying on the 31st of December, 1999. And we crossed over into the year 2000 and nothing happened. I remember how many times we've had predictions that the world was going to end and it never did. And Lee just asked the question, does it mean that the creators of 5G don't want to live or don't want their own parents to live? Nigeria should bring 5G, Biko. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. We carry last inside everything. We won't carry last inside technology again. I've lost so much respect for people who came out and started all this conspiracy. Matthew Ashimolo was so on point. Do you think the American government lost, was it 30 trillion? Do you think the American government is ready to lose 30 trillion because they want to put a chip in your finger? That's why they'll lose 30 trillion? To the point where they stand, to the point where the biggest companies in the world are no longer in America, they're now in China? Do you think the American government is really ready to risk that just to put 666 on your finger or in your forehead? Go and read Revelations 13. The 666 only comes up in verse 16. What happens from verse 1 to verse 15 has not occurred yet. The beast with the many heads, the one that looks like a tiger and the one that looks like a dragon. Then the statue that is going to talk. Then the miraculous healing. It has not happened yet. You jump straight to the 666 and believe this is an opportunity. Everyone. Hitler was the Antichrist at a point. Saddam Hussein was the Antichrist at a point. Blah, 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 blah. No backup except illusory correlation. When I no get light, when I talk of 5G. When I get the light to power the 5G. I beg make una go sleep, Joe. God bless you all. God bless you guys.